You are listening to The Practice of a Hoodoo Baptist, my personal journey of root work, faith, and ancestral wisdom. I'm your creator and host, Chelsea Von Chass. This is where I honor the ones who came before me and share what's been passed down to walk you through my experiences of being unapologetically aligned, covered by spirit, guided by blood. I also have some magical guests every now and then. And today I have a very magical guest, honey, because this person I have been waiting to talk to about the things, and we're going to get into what the things are. I have Charlotte Duerr James, who is an educator, therapeutic coach, and initiated medicine woman of Germanic and Afro-Caribbean lineage. Okay. Now, Charlotte has over 15 years of experience working with sacred earth medicines. She supports personal and collective healing through ceremonial, facilitation, ancestral wisdom, and embodied practice. Charlotte is also the founder of Liberation Training, a psychedelically informed organization focused on decolonized healing and collective liberation. Her work is grounded in traditional lineages, transpersonal psychology, and a deep commitment to authenticity, integrity, and transformative community care. The ultimate medicine woman, let's just call it what it is. Charlotte, my girl.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, because I know you're busy, because you are taking care of yourself and community. So I understand. So I appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you for your presence. Thank you for all the work that you do. We've known each other for some time now. And Charlotte is always, let me tell y'all something. Charlotte is always chill. I ain't never heard Charlotte raise her voice. Not to say that you can't raise your voice, but I'm just saying, like, the vibe is just always, we mellow. We don't have no fucks to give. We're just here. And I've always admired that about you. Like, Charlotte don't give a damn. Charlotte is just here floating. You hear me? Like, if people are always like, oh my gosh, Charlotte, you could be like, oh my gosh, Charlotte, this big whole thing. Charlotte's like, what's up? It's like, oh, I love it. This, like, you're in this. I'm not saying, first of all, your emotions are yours. I just admire the just, you're not, if you're not moved, you're not moved. And you not like having this big gesture doesn't mean that you're not moved.
Mm.
It's just completely you. And you're just set and settled in your spirit. That's how I receive it. Cause and I think that's important to say too, because for me, like, I've experienced where someone gives me some exciting news and I'm like, oh, that's exciting. Okay, cool. I'm happy for you. And they're like, you don't look excited. I'm like,
Mm. Then you like pull out the parade, like at the trombone.
yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, so I don't feel it when people feel like entitled to your emotions.
Mm.
So I admire when when I witness another person just be so comfortable and set in who they are, and other people receive that and just love that in the community. So no, I love that. Like, it does bring me joy.
I receive that. It's also the heaviness of the earth placements in my chart, which is just out
mm,
of control. Um, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we're gonna get into all of this conversation.
yeah.
I feel like I would get myself very worked up in situations and just like
Okay.
throw my whole system off. And, and like over time started to recognize that I was using so much energy in undiscerning ways. And at the same time, working with sacred medicine, psychedelics, all the things we're going to
Mm-hmm.
talk about has definitely opened or it really expanded my capacity to feel
Mm-hmm.
and to experience my emotions. And yeah, so it's interesting. Been an
Yeah.
interesting journey.
No, the earth placements make a whole lot of sense because you're grounded, and I see it and I feel it and I love it. I respect it too because to me it tells me that yeah, you're just comfortable where you are, where you're at emotionally and spiritually. So, and I think a lot of people gravitate towards that too,
Mm,
you know what I mean? Like just for the sake of like, I feel I could be myself around this person, which
mm,
makes sense too because your work authenticity is embedded in the work that you do in helping people. And I think what you do is it's really special and I also want to like give you your flowers because as someone that works in community service, community work, uh, decolonizing education, decolonizing just spaces, whether it's for healthcare or working with folks that may deal with either addictions or mental health. It's not for the weak. It's not for the weak, and yeah, it does take a lot of work, inner work, and spiritual grounding in order to do that because it's always and correct me if I'm wrong if you ever feel like that, but to me in doing the work, it's like a constant pouring out of your cup. So it's
mm.
like you gotta keep filling your own cup before it gets, halfway full or halfway empty, however you wanna look at it. So yeah, in doing this work in servicing people through the earth, through earth medicine, plant medicine, and especially with psychedelics, I commend you because it's so necessary. And I say that as someone who started their psychedelic journey, well, I guess like 15 years ago. Is it 15? Well, maybe like 12, 13 years ago. And and I had these great experiences. I would say I did not I've never experienced a bad trip. I've definitely have witnessed bad trips and babysat people. So I
Mm,
did have like a good year or two where I was connecting with some organizations, whether they were like working through festivals or like with shamans and just, learning and being of service to people while they have their experiences. And there was something that did happen for me though, where I was just like, "Oh, yeah, this is now always gonna be pleasant." I think it was when I experienced like, I guess supremacy in the space.
mhm. Yeah, not
You know what I'm
aware.
saying?
Not exactly, not uncommon.
Yeah, and it's just like, damn, even
Yeah,
even even in this hippie shit, this
mhm.
we are one, whatever, all the bullshit. Even in this, um, folks still gotta be white. Supremacist.
I mean,
Supremacist.
the all one piece is so frequently, especially in the psychedelic world, used as a tool for spiritual bypassing and for
Mhm.
bypassing the human experience. So, like, we're all one in the 5D, and you're like, "That's wonderful. I live in the 3D on a regular basis. I have tools that help me get to the 5." But, yeah, here in this human experience, we have some things to contend with around
Mhm.
difference um, and understanding that that is part of, this narrative and live separation that we've been fed, from each other, from source, from earth, like, all of that, but we can't just bypass and be like, "Well, I don't wanna talk about." I've
Yeah.
experienced um, this other reality, or I've experienced this other truth, and so now I want to, like, live in that, and I feel like it's the difference between wanting to or working with medicine, sacred medicine, or psychedelics, to be more human, to be more in your human experience, or to try to escape the human experience,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I think in the beginning, I just I just wanted to feel all the things. I of course, like, was curious in the beginning. I was still in, still in my 20s, early to mid 20s, and so one of my first journeys, or I guess, was more so witnessing someone have their experience. A friend of mine, was having a mushroom trip. I would say like a psilocybin trip. And I was just like, super curious, but that was like my first babysitting experience. And it was very interesting. By the end of the night, we painted, we played music, we watched The Holy Mountain. I don't know if you know what that is.
Mm-mm.
It's a old school like
What about Mount
movie from
Shasta?
the 60s, 70s, and like this director, I think he goes by Hodorowski.
Oh, yeah, 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 Jodorowsky. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
some weird stuff.
Very, very, very
It's
weird
kind of
things.
like taking care of, it can kind of be like taking care of a toddler,
Mhm. Yes,
you
because the
know?
person, they become very childlike,
Mhm.
curious, can't do nothing without supervision. And yeah, and I think, like, there was just more so about, like, from there, my journey went from that to learning through, like, just reading, researching books, and even then, I wouldn't say discouraged, but I just felt like, "Oh, I'm reading insight and experiences of people who don't look like me."
Mm.
And a lot of the script, the sources are, it's old, from McKenna
Mhm,
to
mhm.
Leary, like,
Yeah, 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 that.
yeah, like that type shit. And it's like, whatever. But also, like, no, like, I does anybody have, is there a book, that was written by Earth, Wind and Fire? Uh like, to talk about their era and those
Mhm.
first, like, couple albums that they did, or just something else, because especially with music, because I noticed, like,
Mhm.
music can either, be grounding for someone, or it can make it go totally bad.
Totally, yeah.
So noticed when we would play or kind of listen to, whether it was like Shaka Khan, Earth, Wind and Fire, Grateful Dead, not so much, but Pink Floyd, like, and this would be, just things that the homie was more so into because they are artists. And yeah, and it was just like my time to, like, do research. And yeah, when I finally tapped into psilocybin, I just had these really beautiful experiences where I didn't necessarily need music or nothing, because the things were giving me all the music and visuals, that I needed. So I didn't really need anything to, like, guide or tether me, perhaps. So but yeah, I just remember, for my first, like, years of just, how it is, like, when you're young, you just dabbling into shit. It's like, "Oh, okay, let's see what LSD is like.
Totally, that's how I
Let's
started.
let me hippie flip a little
Yeah,
bit and so I definitely had, like, a couple of years of, because I'm also a person who I think I might have smoked my first joint at, like, 23, 22, maybe. But it was just something different about, um, the it's with the I mean, obviously, we know, like, it's plant medicine, but it was just something different about my, connection and the draw to psychedelics, to where there was no, like, fear, there was
mhm,
no weirdness about it emotionally or mentally. And even in the space of exploring, the different kinds, um I didn't have no negative experience. It was more so like witnessing, babysitting other people, and walking and guiding them through their negative experience, where
mhm,
I just was like, "Oh, wow." Like, that was when I noticed, or when I came to a realization that, it's important to have to be a guide or have someone to guide you that is more so, like, trauma informed, and
Mhm.
also, um, maybe even someone um, whose chakras are aligned them damn selves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I think people get into the whole partying, aspect of it, and that is, where I think things get kind of like lost. But what was your first journey? What was your first journey like, if you don't mind
Yeah.
sharing a little story time?
And so
Kind of
my
guide us to how
first
you got here.
yeah, yeah. My first decade of exploration, so I guess at this point it's been 20 years, because I would say that my
Mhm.
first psychedelic experience was actually with cannabis
Okay. Yeah.
when I was 14, so I was, like, really young. And then, I think people think because of what I've been doing over the last 6 years that I'm, like, a go super hard to the extreme, but it's like
Mhm.
it took me 15 years to get to what I've done in the last few years. Um, and also becoming more public about my journey and my experience. My first experience, I would say, was a challenging one. So I don't think of, or I personally don't frame journeys as, like, positive or negative or good or bad. I mean, there are some bad trips which are generally about, like, not having a trauma-informed person, not being well supported, not being so not to discount that people have really, can have really hard experiences in that way, but I feel like the medicine always brings us maybe what we need, but not what we always want, um,
Mhm. Mhm.
and there's, like, that wisdom to it, that it may be really challenging, but frequently over time sort of fits into, like, the story of your life, as an important experience. So my first experience was with cannabis, with weed, with my cousin, and I just remember I think I was enjoying the experience, but there were so many because of the stigma. Also, I was so young. Like, our parents were kind of near. That I was like, we get in trouble, that infiltrated the
Got it.
time. And I thought I had been sitting outside, like, cross-legged, and my leg had fallen asleep, but I hadn't realized, and so then when I straightened it, and then it was a full moon, and so my leg looked blue, and I thought that my
Mm.
leg was gone, and we were gonna have to, like, tell our parents and call an ambulance, and I was gonna have to have my leg amputated, and, like, this is the first time I ever did this, and I was like, this I made
Wow.
entire
Yeah.
this whole thing, and then weirdly the next day I was like, "That was interesting, we should do it again." So I've always been
Yeah, it's always like freak out, freak out, freak out, freak out,
I'm like,
and then you
"Huh,
come down, you're like, "Whew, huh, wow, I survived that. Yeah, let's do it again."
let's try that again," you know? So that eventually led to, I think that just sort of kept me open, and I've been a lifelong weed, cannabis, mama ganja has been a ally since then and continues to be in life. When I was 18, I had, MDMA, Molly. Uh, these are super problematic now, but at that period, they were not yet super problematic. This South African band, called Deonford,
Mhm.
very strange performers, and that was, like, my first, like, public, trip out in the world. And then, yeah, I had a roommate who was a burner, so, like, a fire
Mhm.
starter. She started taking me to raves and, like, little burner things, and I just started to, like, dabble. Then I moved to Bolivia after I graduated from college and lived in this house of also just exploratory, curious
Yeah.
humans. And we would do acid and go hiking and, in Bolivia, which is an incredibly gorgeous, beautiful country. Um, So then I started to, dabble in that. Eventually that led to exploring with mushrooms.
Mhm.
And then I took a big break from everything. I sort of like evaluated my general relationship with substances and altered states. And I was like, oh, some of this is not in balance. So I took a big break. And when I came back from that break, I had my first combo ceremony. So my
Mm.
first frog medicine, which is not psychedelic, but is, like a sacred and indigenous medicine from the Amazon.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then that started to sort of open this new path of how to relate with these tools as medicine and not just like, let me explore my mind and,
Yeah,
you
just even
know?
recreationally.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you said that because, yeah, 'cause I think because my journey started with, like, witnessing because I'm watching people who are doing it recreationally, and so for me, it was just about, like, like, there's something deeper here, what is that? Because I think a lot of times even when people are doing the things, it definitely gives you what you want, what you need versus what you want. And I think sometimes even when that happens, you can still miss some things.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, it was just I guess I gathered from um watching and reading and witnessing that if my mind is right and I can uh tune out any distractions, then I can be ready to listen in a
Mm.
sense.
Mhm.
Because yeah, I just found that yeah, the no music, not a lot of people, because then I kind of went from yeah, I could trip. The best trips are inside, indoors, and then going outside. It's like, oh, okay, this is another level. Like, okay,
Mhm.
I'm ready for
Mhm.
this. And then the difference of tripping and oh my goodness, just seeing auras, seeing other people's shit. It's like, ooh,
Oh, I
ooh.
can't now. I can't go outside on it now. I
Oh,
couldn't.
really?
No.
It's like, ooh,
No.
oh no,
No.
a whole thing. And that's when I was like, oh yeah, inside is way better.
No,
Inside, minimal people.
I'm like, get in bed with all the coziness and an eye mask and, like, a
Yeah,
good, um
yeah.
I do really enjoy music for the way that it can carry the journey. The music really responds to frequency in that way,
Mhm.
and I find it very important to, um, especially in the first few hours, not be listening to music that has lyrics that you really
Yeah.
understand, not listening to music
Mhm.
that has a lot of emotional charge for you because of, like, memory, right? But it is super interesting to, like, listen to music from your lineage or, listen to I don't know, I really enjoy in college, I had a radio show called Glow Beat, and it was
Mm.
all global music, and so that's what I really enjoy listening to sort of have that, experience of maybe moving past your, like, limited understanding of yourself, uh
Mhm. Yeah.
sometimes can support that more transcendent space, but I feel you, yeah, I could not the things I used to do and be out in the world, I could definitely not. I'm way too sensitive now, and I think I was
Yeah.
really young, part of it was I was young, I hadn't started so much of, like, an intentional healing journey in the way that people talk about it now,
Got it.
so I existed in more of a state of disassociation. Now
Mhm.
that the medicine has helped me recognize my own sensitivity, and so, yeah, I
Yeah.
couldn't be out in the world, like that.
Yeah.
Um, but what you were sharing about too is yeah, it's just how you think about your set and your setting,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
what's happening in your mindset, and then where is the journey actually taking place, who's going to be there, who's around, and like how much impact environment has on you and on the journey.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. I did have a couple of moments where I just try had attempts at being a guide, and whether it's with individual and groups. And I think for me, the positive there, why it was I would say yes, would be because I would sit it out and be the responsible one, the babysitter, but also because these are Black people who just were very much like, nope, just you, and that's it. Or I only want to have you here watch me, like I'll do it with you, but I don't know her. Or even like couples and just groups of like friends. It's still given like recreational, but I think for me it was just like, oh, this is a first step, because a lot of the folks the people that are coming to mind who were all indulging, they, for a long time it was just like a blockage, or just very much like, nah, I don't know, this some white people shit.
Mhm.
And that was just very hard to kind of get past that. And because I had one friend where uh for a couple of times she was on like a tour, um, and I would, go by her house, get her mail, and, kind of house sit from time to time. And I had took a trip at her house, and I was like, yo, your apartment is really tight when you're tripping. And she's like, what the fuck are you doing? So, and so I had told her, and she just did not understand. She was just like, I don't know. And she's a psychology major, all the
Oh, that's
things.
interesting. Yeah.
Okay. Like, she just like, what? And finally, one time, like, she's like, okay, let's do it. So we do what I remember, it was like a nice we split like an ounce. It was crazy.
No, 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 that
Between
wait,
like I think it was four or five people of psilocybin. I know,
why?
nuts. Doing an eighth each, I believe.
I mean, that is also how I started, and now I'm just like, "Why were we doing that?"
Right, why were we about
It's
to hurt
so
ourselves?
it's so
But,
yeah.
yeah, like, it was just nuts, right? And, yeah, so, and she was the only, I guess, first timer in that point, everybody else is experienced.
Mm.
But, man, like, yeah, I took mine later, but, like, for the initial part, I remember, like, everybody took it, they were great. I fucked up and fell asleep. I woke up I woke up. She's outside in just no pants, her underwear, and a little, like, tank top, and one of my other homeboys, and they're staring at this tree. And it's so funny because I had talked about this tree because I already knew what they were looking at, blah, blah, blah. But oh my God, to like go out, I'm looking for them, I'm calling their names, and to go outside, and they're in the middle of the goddamn street in Hollywood, California, in the middle of her street, staring at this tree. Thank God we're not on the main road, but still, they're in the middle of the road, just staring at this tree. And I'm just like, and I go up to them, they're sobbing at this tree, baby. And I'm like, "What the hell are you doing?" They're like, and she's like, "I didn't know. I've been passing her. I've been passing her for 3 years, and I never like acknowledged her. Like, how rude! How dare I?" It's a whole thing. I get them both back inside, and she's like, "I think I have to pee." That whole thing where like all the adrenaline and
All the
things
body
move.
feelings at
All
once.
the body feels. She's like, "I think I have to pee." And I was like, okay, just go in the bathroom and I'm like, but don't lock this door. She didn't lock the door. I'm like, but don't lock this door because I need to have access to you. And, like, she's still, like, sobbing from the tree. I give her a little bit of privacy. She cracks the door, and I'm calming my other friend. He's like, "Oh, I'm good. It was just beautiful." He was like, "I'm crying at her crying, looking at the tree." I was like, "Drink some water, some juice, please." He's like, "No, I'm fine." And she stops sobbing. I go in the bathroom, and she's like, it's like, "Yo." This is hilarious. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wait till y'all sober up, and then I'll just do my shit tomorrow. Because it was a lot. But once like she calmed down and had like these like, aha moments and just kind of like a good cry. It's always, to me, it was beautiful to see someone else have a really good psilocybin,
Mm,
like that really good, just like, ooh, it gave them what they needed. Yeah, it gave them what they needed. And something just had to come out, and it came out like through their cry. I do find though, like, it was a little harder for the guys to cry to get to that point than it was for the women.
mhm,
Yeah, and I always wondered, like, what's always the push back or the blockage there. But once they had the cry, it would be like nonstop for a while.
mhm,
But yeah, like, I think those moments made me respect what I was doing more, respect the medicine more, where I was just like, yeah, after that, I wasn't really trying to do it recreationally. I was only kind of interested in, like, in community, um through, whether it was through a shaman, or we, at Joshua Tree, it's like an
mm,
annual thing. And it's just like for a really light purpose. And then I think not immediately, but I think a little after that was when I was like, I think microdosing is more so like my jam.
mhm,
It's because I was going hard. We were going hard for a few years, and
mhm,
then microdosing, I was like, yeah, this is where it's at. It's calm, still tapped in, still getting what I need, and being respectful, not stressing myself out, and
mhm,
or any pressure or anything. Um, but yeah, it was that moment with that friend where that was what changed my, I guess, the consciousness of, no, we're gonna be more serious, about this, and
mhm,
respecting the plants. What and you for you, it's more so, from what I'm gathering, and you've done ceremonies. I've been to, even at Buku Hoodoo Fest,
mhm.
which, by the way, people look forward to your ceremony at Buku Hoodoo Fest. And I wanna say, like, the first year that you did it, like, I don't remember if it was that people got too much or were overwhelmed, or it was longer. I don't remember. Um,
I think so. It's interesting because last year was the first year that I did it, and I didn't let anybody that wasn't receiving medicine into the circle. So in the previous
okay.
2 years, I think part of what was happening is that it's a rapé ceremony, so tobacco medicine, which is really grounding. And so there were all the people who received medicine and were like really they were in that energy. And then there was sort of the like dispersing energy
Mm.
on the edges that sort of like
Mhm.
frayed or pulled the concentration and like made it a little bit more chaotic. That first year was I think I stayed for like 4 hours after with somebody who just was like not really having a challenge coming back. And then the other
Mm.
aspect of it was 1,000%. I had a person that I used to facilitate with,
Mhm.
who it was ultimately revealed was a very predatory energy in the community. And then in hindsight, thinking about some of those situations where it was like, why did the energy get so amplified, or feel so pulled from the center? And again, that set and setting piece, like, who's there? Who's holding the space? Are they in integrity with themselves, with the medicine? Because the medicine, again, always knows.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot hide, and I think that's the piece that can be you were saying about, like, men and, or more masculine folks sometimes, like, feeling that challenge of coming to that more purging or cathartic place.
Mhm.
I feel like sometimes it happens in other ways, but that sob is a good it's a really good purge and release. Um, Men have to be so emotionally masked and repressed on a regular basis in our society and in our culture. Um, and the medicine, it's so hard to be masked to the medicine, and so I think sometimes it's like there's like a push-pull happening where I mean, if you that piece of, like, surrender is sometimes feels like
Yeah.
more of a choice than other moments, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you're taken by it and there isn't choice, and depends on the medicine too, there's, like, less sort of feeling of choice in the surrender, and then some people just spend hours, like, resisting it, you know?
Mhm.
And maybe they're not having that experience externally so much,
Yeah.
but there's a lot moving beneath the surface for
Mhm.
them. Um, but yeah, I would agree that, like, typically femme folks seem to have
Mhm.
closer
Yeah.
connection to that to, like, the release of the emotion.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think, yeah, it was just something that I observed because from my observations, the men that I ex experienced, yeah, it was just, like, a little bit of the fear still there, maybe even guilt. Because
Mm,
I'm also thinking about the ones where um my trips are beginning where I can see auras and colors and just kind of seeing where when they're struggling, I see one color presented
mhm,
up here, and then when the surrender happens, or like that kind of smack, I used to call it a smack, where it's like
mm,
that second of surrendering or forgetting what's going on and trying to be subconscious and all that, like as soon as you release it, it just smack you and pull your ass in. And then like when that happens, I see it's not
mm,
so dark up here.
mhm,
Or
mhm,
something has definitely faded away. And yeah, I always, want more, more so than, for certain friends of mine, wanting them to have that experience. And I feel that way about Black people, like us as a whole, like wanting more Black people to have at least one experience with plant medicine, that may help them release certain things, or just to be able to surrender to something. Because I think some people don't be knowing what they're surrendering to until it's in their face.
mhm, mhm,
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so, like, later on, talking to people who they have their first experience or 2, and then, they're sitting back and reflecting, because ooh, the talk, the reflection, the talk when they come back from the trip is always some shit. They be like, "Ooh, bitch," like, "Ooh, you didn't tell me this," or, like, "Let me tell you what I saw," and, like, it's just really beautiful. And, yeah, and, it was a few girlfriends, I talked to, and they all said the same thing. They all were like, "I just wish my mom could, like, experience that."
mhm,
Like, I just feel like my mom, like, really needs a good, like, out of body experience, because they're so, like, tethered to whether it's, like, a struggle, motherhood, the strong Black woman, like, all these
mhm,
things that we're
mhm,
just so, like, that's been, like, latched onto us without us,
mhm,
knowing. We can't even be human. Um, and it's just for me, it's always a great I always took it as a reminder of me being a spirit having this body experience.
Mhm.
And me, and also a reminder, like, my experience right now is as a human, and I have this magic in me, this reminder. And I talk about that more, especially when I get into spaces with with religious folk. We'll get
Mm,
into
mhm,
that.
mhm.
I don't want to be specific and say Christian folk, but for me, the experience is mainly Christian folk. Yeah, because it's always this yeah, bypassing and this whole thing with like, you do psychedelics? I don't do that because I love God.
Okay. I was raised in Quaker schools. Um,
Word.
Quakers are the Christians that believe that the light of God exists in everyone, and there
Mhm.
is no pastor or preacher or hierarchy of
Got
roles
it.
in the congregation. And so everyone becomes a channel for the word of God.
Mhm.
You kind of
Mhm.
just stand up and share the messages. So when other Christian denominations or people in those denominations have that response, you're like, but the whole point is that God is in all of us, right?
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
um, and there's a term that some people use, entheogen or entheogenic medicine, and
Mhm.
it's a Greek word that means um like plants that help us to see the God within us.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that is what these medicines are, and they give us a moment to take a breath from what you were saying, all of those roles and stories and identities that are put on us and that we take on for protection and survival and, um, yeah, allow us to have a little
Yeah.
bit of, like, a more bird's eye view on the human experience, on the more than and beyond human experience. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, to just let us rewrite some of the story.
What has been your experience when in doing this work, especially for collective liberation? Like what's been I guess we could talk about challenges, like the challenges of talking to our people about plant medicine, whether we're talking about psychedelics or even herbalism, because
Mhm.
let's not let's not even like forget how even herbalism
Exactly.
is
So I feel like
considered demonic.
we're jumping, like, 10 10 steps down the road. I feel like my more recent approach has been just, like, patience.
Yeah.
Being like, "Let me just boop, boop, boop,
Yeah.
boop, boop, boop," until I, like, I'm, like, leaning against the door while it, like, slowly opens.
Mhm.
The other piece for me that I even more recently have to remind myself of more frequently is that despite the fact that I exist in a world where many of us are talking about ancestral reclamation, plant medicine, herbalism, psychedelics, da, 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 so it feels not niche, it feels
Mhm.
like the echo chamber. Um, very, very, very few people, the stat is wild, it's like 1 in 4 North Americans has even heard of psychedelics as a modality for healing, like, as a therapeutic tool, as a potential option in some states even now. So, I have been thinking a lot more recently about what are the ways that we just baseline educate our folks on what is available, if people need the empirical science-driven data that we can give that to them because that does exist now. Um, that there are many pathways and doorways into this work, right? There's like the communal care approach, the ceremonial approach. You could go sit in a doctor's office if that's what makes you feel the safest. Personally, that's the furthest from for me safety, but for a
Mhm.
lot of people, there's still a lot of trust in that
Mhm.
world, less so for our folks, obviously, but I don't know. That's still an option. Yeah, I have been thinking about this. So when you wrote to me and said, like, "I wanna have this conversation," I was like, "This is very timely," because I am trying to figure out how do we just tell our folks what is available, and then also for those that are open to it, help to make the tie back to our ancestors because our ancestors had these medicines. There are
Mhm.
over 300 entheogenic plants on the continent of Africa. There are many traditions, and I feel like I keep learning about more because they just don't frame it. We wouldn't be calling them psychedelic traditions.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just sacrament. It just is what we work with. It's the roots that we eat for dreaming, for expanding the dream world, and the so we have different language for it, but it's something that's very much rooted in an African and Afro-diasporic lineage and tradition. Um, so, yeah, helping for us to see that this is not white people stuff,
Mhm.
and it's once again co-opted. Um, and yeah, that it comes from us and is something that many of our ancestors may have been interacting with for their well-being and the
Yeah,
well-being of our communities.
yeah, yeah, which is why you're so precious in the work that you're doing because I feel and have witnessed the priority of safety, or safety being a priority for you and for anyone that's in community with you. Um, whether it's the Rampe ceremony, um, or any of the medicines, I think that you make the center point. Um, because I think with a lot of people, they are getting information more so from if it's from someone who looks like them, they're just listening on that person's experience. And a lot of times, or what I've been witnessing, is people talking about their experiences with ayahuasca,
Mm,
um, or even, yeah, I would say like with, what's the other one? Is it Ibogaine for
yeah,
addiction?
yeah, Ibogaine is the synthetic derived from iboga.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
So from people who have access and
Yeah, yeah,
wealth
yeah. The, like,
know.
celebrity storytelling
Yeah.
of these medicines, which is either the addiction angle
Mhm.
or there's, like, this weird we were kind of talking about this before, you started recording, I think,
Mhm.
but um, like, it being the butt of a joke or, like, the
Yeah.
person who did the thing being the butt of the joke, like, "Oh, you wild, you went and did
Yeah.
that crazy thing," and there was some, I don't know names of celebrities,
Yeah,
so I'm
yeah.
not gonna get any of this correct. There's there's that one guy,
I love that for
maybe
you.
his name is Kevin
Oh,
something,
yes. Yes, yes, yes.
then he was interviewing the other guy who's in the show.
Yeah, you're talking
This
about
is how
Sterling.
you're like, "You're so chill." I'm like, "'Cause I'm not aware of any of these things in the real world." Whatever, he had him on his,
But
like,
it
live
brings you so much peace, and I love that for you.
he, like, had him on his live podcast, right? So it's
Yeah.
like influencer celebrity to acting celebrity. The acting celebrity is talking about how he's done ayahuasca a bunch of times with his
Yeah.
wife.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes,
And
yes.
and it's the caption, they changed it, but the caption was like, "Oh, here blah blah goes doing that white people stuff again." And people
Uh-huh.
who were knowledgeable hopped in the comments to be like, "Don't call these indigenous tech these are like the
Yeah.
furthest from white people things, these
Yeah.
indigenous technologies." But yeah, that it just gets it's like the punchline,
Mhm.
or it's these, like, outlier people who have access and do wild stuff, who are
Mhm.
like, went off to the jungle and did some crazy and I feel like it pulls it further away from the
Yeah.
potential of our people experiencing it than it is helping to, like, spread the knowledge that these are tools we have access to.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah, and I get it, like, the person is a comedian and these and the people who who had the experience, they're actors who have access and, just as a couple decided to have a experience with ayahuasca. And yeah, and they have no problem sharing their experience, which they even have their own podcast as a couple. His name's Sterling K. Brown
Thank you.
and his wife, Ryan Michelle. It's okay, sis, it's okay.
It's like
But yeah,
the one
they
dude with the other dude and the dude,
yeah,
you
yeah. No,
know?
it's okay. Because I know the clips because the clips go viral
Yep, yep.
because it's like this sensational thing of Black people talking about experimenting with ayahuasca or psychedelics. So yeah, I get it. I do appreciate like on their own podcast how they shared how they got to that
Mm,
moment and also their experience and they talked about their fears. They talked about the taboo, they talked about, judgment on themselves and from other people, which
mhm,
I respect it because I think that's real, especially for our people, for Black
absolutely.
folks. No matter what denomination or religion you are, it's like the culture is like we label certain things as white people shit, and we also have been lied to and believe the lie that these are not our own plants
That
and practices and traditions.
Yeah, and we've been traumatized and brutalized through the
Mhm.
war on drugs, so the
Yeah.
idea that you would use an illicit or illegal substance to help you heal is, like, a wild concept mixed with the, like, it is so layered and complex, but I
Yeah.
that's a huge piece of it too is, like, drugs, right? Which technically these are these are a thing that change your state of being. These are drugs.
Mhm.
Were weaponized and, like, used as a way to destroy our communities in our physical health, mental health, to ruin and break apart families. I mean, it's just the foundation of it is so hard to then be like, "So,
Yeah.
you should take these mushrooms,
Yeah.
and they're gonna help you heal from those exact things and the generational trauma that comes with it," you know? So,
Yeah.
I think that's where I've been, like, digging into um, my compassion and patience to be
Yeah.
like, the manipulation has been so we're not this isn't changing in 5 years when we've been manipulated about this for the last
Yeah.
300, you know? And that there was high risk for practicing our ancestral traditions, and we had to do it in hiding and, like, all of these things that, um yeah, have to be challenged to open to the medicine.
Mhm.
Um, and I think my upbringing, like, has a lot to do with that. Um, my dad immigrated from Jamaica, but was a practicing Rastafari for a time, so the idea of, like, plants for healing or as sacrament was there, and then my mom was a hippie, and then they were stoners together, and then I was, raised around predominantly white people and kids
Mhm.
who could explore
Yeah.
with far less consequence, you know? And so, like, my proximity to whiteness also, like, gave me access to these things that had been co-opted into crazy white people stuff. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
and knowing that I had parents that had engaged in these things made it a little bit easier to think like, "Okay, I could try this and, um, not lose my mind or
Yeah.
not lose my life." Um, that has had a huge influence on how early I started to experiment, how open I was to experimentation, and then how that, like, eventually led me to the more intentional practice that I have now.
I wanna ask you this question about, um, remembrance,
Mm,
because yeah, I appreciate you for sharing everything that you said, especially about your own experience and actually saying, "Hey, my proximity to whiteness made my experience much easier and or just even different." Because it was this open, safe space for me to just experiment, and whether I'm a kid or a young adult, like, I could just do the thing. So I appreciate you for saying that. I also appreciate that you mentioned how, um, you know, these practices, indigenous practices, you know, ultimately they are our ancestral practices, and things that have been laid out for us that were ours for a very long time before, anyone could think of the word co-opting. So it's like this, all this misinformation, disinformation, like what we have now, even with the scheduling of the drugs and substances, like that's
Mhm.
that's also still fairly new. It's been like
Totally.
what, 50 years, maybe going on 60 years of like them doing that. So it's like, to me,
They were, like,
that's
still putting cocaine in Coca-Cola in the '20s, I think, so, like
yeah. Yeah, that's why I was like, no,
yeah,
the
it's
scheduling.
very when we think about the long stretch of time that is human history, like, this is a blip.
Mhm. No, for real.
Yeah, it's a rough
Um,
one, but it's a blip.
yeah. Oh, right. Definitely rough. Um, yeah, when you're talking about, like, remembrance rather than, let's say, becoming. So,
Mm.
like, I want you to expand on, if you don't mind, like, what we're actually remembering when we return to ancestral wisdom, and I guess share an example of what gets disturbed in us when we stop trying to, self-improve
Mm,
all
mm,
the
mm.
time and actually just, like, start listening.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think the self-improvement bend to healing or mental health is, like, a very colonial, white-bodied supremacy, progress is linear. I have a problem or I am a problem and I have a thing and I need to fix it, approach. And remembrance is, for me, a part of becoming, I think they definitely go together. Mm, remembrance of what it was to live together and with the earth in a way that was not dependent on dominance and violence and extraction and, um, all of these ridiculous hierarchies of made up identity, you know?
Mhm.
Um, yeah, to remember what it is to be human. Not that all of our expressions of humanness and humanity should be erased, but that we've been trained into or conditioned into a system where you have to assign all of this value to difference. And, um,
Yeah.
yeah, just that myth of separation from each other, from the earth, from the divine, even just from ourselves, from our own inner knowing. Um, and that especially the little teachers or mushrooms or psilocybin and so many of these other medicines are working to help create new neural pathways, right? And so it's
Yeah.
like it's literally changing the way that or has the potential to change the way that we think and the way that we see ourselves and the way that we are able to access the memory, the ancestral memory that lives in our bodies and lives with us.
Yeah.
Um, and you were saying earlier that that microdosing is a tool you really like now, and that is, um, yeah, a tool that
Yeah.
I think is really helpful for integrating the medicine into your life in more of a daily practice. Like if we think about the
Yeah.
medicine as a relative, you wouldn't go and, like, visit your elder or call them on the phone, like, once a year, you know what I mean? And have, like, one 8-hour conversation and then not talk to them for the rest of the year. So I feel like microdosing is being able to, like, build more of a consistent relationship with these, yeah, with these ancestral tools.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause I'm done with the tripping. I think tripping, yeah, it was my moment. It was yeah, I got the message.
They say you get when you get the message, you can hang up the phone.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah, no, no, for sure, and yeah, like, yeah, I could say I had some beautiful experiences, and who's to say, maybe, in the future,
Yeah.
with the opportunity to whether it's with ayahuasca or peyote, which I have not, had an experience with, um, iboga like, who knows, I think well, for sure, after my first and last DMT trip, I was like, "I'm good. I'm good."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that.
It was a nice smack, it
DMT
was
is one of the you were saying that earlier, and I was like, I feel like sometimes the smack comes, but mostly with yeah, the DMT smack is a lot. My system doesn't
oh,
love that
baby.
one.
Yeah, oh, baby. It's yeah. I didn't expect for that experience, I didn't expect, you know, because it's hard to not have an expectation, and I was trying to get back in that mindset because it had been some years since I had an experience, and then this was new, and one of my best friends had such and just ego death of an experience with DMT, and he actually recorded it, and yeah, it was such like this emotional thing, and he was trying to put it into words, and he was like, but
Ineffable.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it was just, it was something. So yeah, when we all, me, him, and two other friends, like at home, just kind of set the mood and the tone, good setting, and yeah, it was interesting because like I felt like when we first had the first attempt, we weren't surrendering,
Mm.
and then we did like one big hit off of, you know what I'm saying, like really quickly, like all one big hit, and for a split second, one of my friends was like, I don't maybe this is a bad batch. I don't know, it's not working. Baby, as
Gone.
soon as she said that, we were not alone. It was just like a whole nother level. I saw like the room changed. I saw like so many beans, like mountains and mountains of like beans. It was like I don't know, a theater, screen just popped open,
So
and
this sounds like it was NN-DMT, not 5-MeO.
yeah, definitely not finding me out because and I remember I don't think I had too many questions for the friend who provided. But yeah, because as soon as they said that, it was just like and we all went somewhere together
And came
and
back.
and came back. And ooh, when I say it felt like I had been running all day,
Mm.
like in my mind, in my body, without the sweat. It's crazy. No sweat, but it feels like I
Yeah, yeah.
ran a marathon. And I was just like, whew, that was a nice reminder. Got it. Thank you. Thank you. I just could say
Mhm,
nothing but
mhm.
thank you, because it was such like this spiritual experience without words, but just people. I always have a moment when I have an experience and I see beings versus
Mhm.
like just seeing the visual things, like, it looking like Super Mario World or something like that. I don't even get like too indulged into that because, yeah, it's very bright. But when I see, individuals and moving and just auras and chakras, then, that's enough of like, that's enough for me. But like, I'm receiving like a message like, got it. I'm not alone. I'm good.
Mm, mhm.
Everything's great. There's more than just this.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, it's like, okay, microdose is that life now. Like
I think it really is the body becomes more sensitive.
mhm.
Over time, the amounts of medicine that I used to take
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
are not quantities that I need anymore.
Okay.
They had their
Amen,
time. They had
sister.
their time and their place.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about, and I think microdosing can teach this too, about the subtle energy piece of it and
Mhm.
how you become more sensitive to energies,
Yeah.
which is really about how you, like, grow the capacity in yourself to feel safety to feel,
Mhm.
and then you
Mhm.
need less to help usher that feeling in.
Yeah. It's not just straight therapy. It's not, always centered on, like, talking to other people or even it's not just being in a community, like, it really is internal work. So what would you say to anyone that feels that they are ready to take on this type of journey?
Mhm. I would say to move at the pace of trust. So don't rush yourself because you're looking to have an experience. Allow it to, that awareness that you're feeling called towards something, that's just the first part, and then let it unfold as it needs to. Um,
Yeah.
literally just happened again where it like entered my mind and then it keeps slipping out and then coming back.
It's okay.
Oh, to place your intention over your expectations. So try to not be so attached to the outcome, but just be open to the
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah.
And open to what the medicine wants to show and tell you without really, like, trying to grasp or control, how that unfolds.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. When you are ready for your first experience, no matter which plant medicine it is, but you will understand why Charlotte just laid down the groundwork because oh my god, intention is key for real in my in,
Mhm.
in my opinion. Like intention is truly key. How do we support you
Yeah,
in this
you
beautiful work
can
that you're doing?
so I run a microdosing group for Afro-descendant women that is virtual. Our next group will start up in late March. And that is a really beautiful way to have a first experience with the medicine or to integrate other experiences that you've had, um, with medicine or other healing modalities. And we
Mhm.
do ancestral reclamation work, we do therapeutic work, we make art, we make earth offerings. So, um, that is really, I think, one of my favorite offerings because I get to bring together all of these tools, that I love and pair them with the medicine. You can find me on Instagram at Created by Charlotte. I don't really post a lot anymore, but I'm still there.
Totally. It's
Um,
totally fine.
yeah, and yeah, I'm sure you'll include I'll send you my site to put in the by notes, but it's newoldways.co.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm out in
Yes.
the
No,
world doing ceremony and doing the things, so you can find
I
me.
love the new site, by the way, Old New
Thank you.
Ways. Love it. Um, yeah, and also, if you don't mind sharing more about, like, your training cohorts that you do.
Yeah, I run a decolonization training for current and aspiring psychedelic practitioners. It's a 3-month program, and we talk about how to approach the medicine from a decolonial perspective. Excuse me, how to prepare yourself as a facilitator, prepare your community, how to work with different communities. So that there's a cohort happening currently, and then there'll be another in winter of this year, 2026.
Nice.
And it's me and a collection of other practitioners in the space, all Black and brown folks doing this work. So yeah, it would be wonderful to have
Necessary.
folks join us. More folks join us. We need more. I
Yes.
mean, that's the other piece. Like, we need more facilitators, folks that look like
Mhm.
us who are trained in guiding and supporting, because that's also obviously the way that we're going to get it into our communities.
Right.
Is like that small ripple effect. So yeah, come through
Right.
to learn.
Absolutely. Y'all tap in newoldways.co.
Hmm.
Tap into the website to holler at Charlotte. Don't come with no nonsense. Please don't. Sis is busy doing this work. So please come correct. Thank you so much for your time,
Thank you for having me.
for
This is
the work
wonderful.
the work that you're doing. I appreciate you. Y'all, you have been listening to the practice of a Hoodoo Baptist. I hope you are fed. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did, if not more. Until next time, peace.
See y'all.